Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and episode 4 of our custom pizza truck build. This will probably end up being my favorite episode because it is all metal fabrication, and that is my favorite part. Episode 1, I tore down the engine, started the rebuild process. Any mechanic could do that. Episodes 2 and 3, I cut off the rear lift gate and then removed the old box and then put the shipping container on. Anyone with heavy equipment could do that. This is where I actually get to showcase some ingenuity, some artistic, creative flair, whatever you want to call it, just the absolute funness that comes with metal fabrication. Let me show you what it's going to look like. Alright, so this is my design for the truck. It is a little bit different than the last one that I did. If you remember, the last one had the service door in the back. This one is going to have a nice little drop down area and a service door in the middle. We learned a lot from the last one, so we will be incorporating some new little design features into this. Let me get back to the truck and show you how to make this a reality. Now the first thing I did was mount a piece of flat strap up to the top so I would have a nice little guide for my plasma cutter. The last one I actually did with a couple of angle grinders and the help of my buddy Jeff. It took us about 3.5, maybe 4 hours, and we went through 4 cutting wheels. So it actually was pretty effective. We got a very, very clean cut, but now I've got a new plasma cutter, and let me show you. This is an edge that I did with the plasma cutter. This is going to be the table for the pizza oven, and I'll build this table very similar to the table that I just built in my last episode, except I will be using 4-inch legs because the pizza oven is 2,500 pounds. But after using a guide and seeing how straight the cuts ended up coming out, I decided I'm going to try my luck and see how much of the plasma cutter I can use on this because I think it'll be a lot quicker than the angle grinder. Now I came up with a plan in my head for how to cut this out because it is such a large section and I'll be doing it myself, and I was going to try and explain it to you, but I've got it written down here like I'll cut this step 1 and then I have to build part of the subframe part 2 to try and keep some structural rigidity, but basically this is a discombobulated mess that mostly lives in my head. So let me just get started. Alright guys, before I cut out any more of this wall, I am going to build my lower subframe. That way I can add a little bit more rigidity so that nothing flexes when the wall is removed. In order to do that, I'm going to use this 5-inch structural C-channel, and it'll go down from here and then over and then back up at around a 45-degree angle. So let's get to it. Alright, I'm getting some good use out of my new shop table. Looks like I am about maybe half a degree off of the 45 degrees I was looking for. Not too shabby. Now I just need to get this welded up. Alright guys, I've got the subframe all mocked up. You see I had quite a bit of extra steel on the top here, and that was just so that I would have a little bit of room to move it back or forth and have it exactly where I wanted. In the front, we needed to have enough room for a display fridge. On the bottom, we had to have enough room so that I'm not running into anything as it's going over the road. And then in the back, I wanted to have it lined up exactly where the new fender was going to be made. And you can see that I went ahead and removed the tires. Boy, that was a huge pain to get those wheels off. I have a large air wrench, but it was not budging those lug nuts. I had to whip out my 58-to-1 gear reduction unit and then get them loosened by hand so that I could then pull them off with the air wrench. But they are off now, which allowed me to actually mount the box to the frame. So let me show you. I've got a wood spacer between the box and the frame, and then it's going to be mounted with these. I've got some custom made U-bolts. I had a local company named Pole Spring build these for me. They came out absolutely fantastic. I will have a total of 6 on each side. We'll have 2 in the back, 2 in the middle, and then 2 in the front, and then the same on the other side, and that'll strap this sucker down. So the next step is pulling off this subframe, getting it cut with my angle grinder at exactly the right angle, and then we'll get it remounted and welded. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we are making great progress over here. I must say I am very happy with the way my little tool came out. I'm calling this the Extreme Supercut 5000. These will be going on sale for $1,000 a piece, and you better buy them now because with the way inflation is going, I'm probably going to have to charge $2,000 next month. Now the next step is going to be doing the same thing that I did here right on this end, cutting out that large section, and then again the center section. Now the center section will be about 3-4 inches higher, and that's just because of the service door that I'm going to be installing. But I don't really want to film removing either of those because it's the same process as this. So with the help of some fancy computer editing, we'll remove that whole section in 3, 2, 1, boom! There you go. 4 hours of work in a flash. Now I did use this come along in order to keep everything square and true. It was trying to shift itself by about 1/4 of an inch, and that is of course not acceptable. The next step is going to be cleaning up the surface here that is painted in order to weld the 2-inch square tubing to it. I started off by using a wire wheel right here, and I'm not sure if that's going to end up being my best solution, so I've got a set of flapping wheels here. What I'll do is set up a timer, and I'll spend 2 minutes with the wire wheel on this side, and then I'll spend 2 minutes with the flapper wheel on this side, and then I'll compare the two because I have an awful lot of surface that I've got to clean up. So I've got to figure out whatever's going to be most effective. So let's get to it. All right, let's take a look at the results. I don't think there's any question that the wire wheel is the clear loser here. You know, I did this much before I even started, so I was able to get just this little tiny bit done. It is pretty clean, a nice surface to weld to, but over here, boy, that just made super quick work of it with that flapper wheel. What I was concerned about, I don't know how well you guys can tell, but this Corten steel is actually a little bit porous, so there's these little specks here that still have some paint in them, and I was worried that the flapper wheel wasn't going to be able to make it through, and then we would have some contaminants in the weld. But it looks like the flapper wheel is able to get at least a good 3/8 inch surface nice and clean and ready for the welding. So I will continue this entire thing with the flapper wheel, but I will not bore you to death. So let's just catch up when I'm all done with it. All right, well, the sander made quick work of that. It was about 45 minutes, and we are ready to go to the next step, and that is installing all of this steel. Now, I went ahead and made some notes here as to which order I'm going to do it in. Basically, I'm going to do this top section, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Let's see, where's 5? 5 down here, and we're doing the long one across here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, and then I get to build the door. So let's jump right on it. All right, guys, change of plans. Number 6, that large piece that I was going to be doing next, it looks like that's going to be a little difficult for me to do by myself, and then I will have some trouble squaring up the top rectangle. So the new plan is to do number 7 and 9 together, number 8 and 10 together, and then separate number 6 into 3 pieces. And that's just because it'll be a little bit easier for me to get everything square. All right, let's get back to work. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for making it this far. Next week, I'm going to continue with the metal fabrication. I still have to build our 3 window frames at the top with the piano hinges, as well as our custom service door, custom service window, and then the entire service section right here. After that, I'm going to be putting back together the 454 WeatherTech engine because I got the short block back from the machine shop. So it will be wonderful to have this thing back moving under its own power again, so I can then finish up the interior. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.